See, the thing with having long hair and wearing black and wanting to shoot YouTube videos is that your hair literally gets everywhere. So this is essential. What is going on, guys? My name is Chris Howe, and if you've clicked on this video, I'm assuming you're a photographer and you want to learn about getting color accurate photos, because that word is somewhere in the title of this YouTube video. But what does getting color accurate photos really mean? Have you ever looked at your photos and thought, man, the color looks a little bit off, or maybe my skin tones look whack? But essentially, you may notice that your colors look a little off and you want them to look a little bit more natural or color accurate. And that's what we're gonna explore in today's video. So let's jump into it. I was gonna do the thing where I go over the lens with the hand, but we're not gonna do that. I'll do this instead. Whoo! Okay, so I just want to preface this before we jump into all these different tips. I'm not a color professional. Is that the terminology, a colorist? But I do have a friend who is a professional colorist, and I gave him a call. I was like, yo, Mitch, I'm doing this video about color accurate things, getting the truest color. Can you give me some tips? Can you consult on this video? He's like, yeah, no problem, Chris. Here's some tips. So between my opinion, where I think I'm pretty good at color, and a professional opinion from someone who does this as a living, here are a bunch of tips to get color accurate photos. So let's jump into tip number one. All right, tip number one, get it right in camera. So if you guys have a higher end DSLR, make sure you guys have selected RAW when you're shooting your photos. This gives you more flexibility in post. The next element is to really nail the white balance in your environment or the set that you're shooting on. And if it's a cloudy day, make sure you guys select the cloudy white balance. But if you want to take it a step further, understand what that little K is in the white balance, and that stands for Kelvin, which is like a temperature gauge to really understand what temperature it is in that room. So the higher the number, the colder the environment. So if it's 9,000, it's a very cold environment. And then if you go further down, like 1,500 Kelvin, that's like a very warm environment, like a candlelit environment. So really understand what the temperature of your room is and match the white balance for it. For example, my aperture 120D is 6,000 Kelvin. So if I go into the little K, select 6,000 Kelvin, boom, the colors look amazing. Now, if you guys are beginners, you can select auto white balance. Most higher end DSLRs these days actually do a pretty good job at getting the white balance right in the environment that you're shooting in, but it's not always perfect. So I would highly encourage you to actually learn how to set the white balance correctly so that your photos look just like extra minty. And not minty like they look green, they look good. Mint as in like they look mint. Good. Just want to clarify. All right, tip number two is to use an 18% gray card. Now you're probably wondering, hey Chris, what's an 18% gray card and how does this align with getting color accurate photos? Well, good question, Domino's 12, 12, 65, 91, 14, 12. The username I created for this person. Essentially what you're gonna do is when you're on set, you're gonna take out this little 18% gray card, you're gonna find a nice area where the light is even, place your gray card down and take a photo of it. Now then you're gonna go into your camera settings, find the custom white balance. Most higher end DSLRs have this. You will select the photo for it to read, and essentially what it's gonna do when it's reading that photo is it's gonna be like, oh, that's 18% gray. So I'm gonna make sure all the other colors are relative and we find the exact white balance of this scenario, because maybe it's actually 6,124 degrees Kelvin. Maybe that's the exact white balance of the situation that you're shooting in, and finding a custom white balance is the best way to get the truest form of color in that situation. Now let's say you guys forgot to do the custom white balance on set. We're gonna go into tip number three right now, which is finding the appropriate and truest white balance afterwards in post-production. Now what I do is, if I'm not changing my shooting environment, what I'll do is I'll take one photo of this little color checker right here, which has 18% gray right there. Then I'll go into Lightroom, upload the photo of this little color checker. I'll take the eyedropper tool and I'll select 18% gray, this little cube right there. And now I have the custom white balance for that environment, and then I'll sync that white balance to all my photos from that specific shooting environment. And boom, now all my colors look, woo, amazing. Tip number four is spend the money on good quality filters. Now the cheaper quality polarizers and NDs have things called color casting, where essentially an image could be too magenta or too purple, or it changes the colors just a little bit and these weird artifacts appear. So if you want good quality images, spend the money on good quality filters. All right, the next tip is to pick the ideal environment to edit in. Now what I mean by this is that I'm sure there's some of you out there who've gone to a Starbucks in the middle of the day beside a window. I've actually done this. too many times. And then you start editing your photos, you export it, you look at it and you're like, this looks like garbage. My exposure is all weird. What's happening in the shadows here? What's going on with the color casting that's going on? It's because your eyes are biased to that environment that you're editing in. Now let's say you tone that light back too far and now you're in a dark environment with the monitor just like wrapped around you. I'm sure we've all done this where you're just in dark and you just have your computer monitor, you're like, I'm editing away. Well, now your eyes are gonna get too strained from the computer monitor, and you're also gonna make weird decisions on exposure and color and lighting and all these other things. So the most ideal environment to edit in is nice, dim, even lighting, and pick a color temperature that feels relaxed to your eyes in that environment, and that's how you get good color while you're editing. All right, the next tip is to use a good quality monitor. Now, when I asked my friend who is a professional colorist, I'm like, what's one of the most important parts about coloring? I said it a little bit more serious than that, but he told me to use a good quality monitor, something that's not biased to certain colors, something that is designed for content creation. Now in my case, I use the ViewSonic VP3881. Now in full transparency, I did partner with ViewSonic on this video to talk about this monitor, but this thing has been a huge asset for a company. I mean, like, look how big it is. It's like extra large. It's actually 3840 by 1600. That is huge. There's literally, if you do the math, that is 16? No, that's not the math. Let's do that again. That's 6 million pixels. Should we count each one here? Got 1 pixel, 2 pixels.
2,000 years later.
6 million pixels. Counted every single one. No, we didn't. I just said the ending. Another thing that I really love about this is like you could have like Lightroom up in this section over here and like client notes over here, and then like Netflix over here, obviously, because we're watching a show while we're getting some work done. Have The Office playing in the corner because there's so much room for so many applications and pages and different screens to have up.
Look at all this floor space. So many activities.
Because it's 38 inches wide and it's super big and 21.9. But anyways, I was originally gonna get 2 monitors, but instead of getting 2 monitors, I just have like a really big one, and now I don't have this like gap in the middle, which is really nice while editing, so I love that too. So now if you're editing an sRGB color space or using a Rec 709 LUT to actually monitor your video, if you're a video editor, your color is actually gonna be the truest form of color. Now you can't blame the monitor if your color looks bad. But I've already said this, and this is one of the most important parts relating to this video. It is dead on color accurate, which is a huge asset when you're coloring or making professional content, especially for clients or if you're making money off your content. Now, if you guys don't believe me that it's color accurate, they actually give you these little report cards of your monitor, specifically your monitor. So it says like VP381 color calibration factory report. Then it says things like delta E, gamma curves. Wait, let's make this a little bit better. We got the delta E, we got the gamma curves, we got the uniformity sRGB, and you got the little monitor with the luminance and color uniformity. It's color accurate. Essentially, this monitor is great for color correcting and actually doing color grading and things along those lines. And my last tip is to take breaks often. So when you're editing for too long, you can go so far down the rabbit hole that you start overcooking your image, or it starts to look overly edited, or it starts to look not natural anymore. So take a break, go and cook dinner, watch a television show like Jack Ryan, which is actually pretty good. It's amazing, actually, it's really good. But essentially come back to your image in the morning the next day and take a look at it. Are you still happy with it? Does it still look good? If not, you can fix it and re-edit. If it still looks good, then boom, you've got a great image. Also, fun little fact, this is actually an extra little tip, but if you're editing in Lightroom, make sure you put your image onto full screen mode. Your eyes can kind of be influenced by the different images on the screen, the different toolbars and all that stuff. If you put it into full screen mode, you get to actually see your full image. And there you can make sure your color still looks good or is accurate. So the tips that you guys just heard will help you get to a neutral point in your photography. From there, then you can add the creative decisions on more interesting color techniques or anything from that. But this gives you a nice baseline start, something that is color accurate. P.S. Clients really love this, especially if you want natural skin tones. Unless your client has asked for something creative, they usually prefer something that looks natural and close to what they're shooting and what their product represents. Okay, so this is actually a quick insert because I'm editing the video right now, but I wanted to share an actually super funny story. So Lizzie's mom came over last night and she came into our office and she was like, wow, that's a sexy monitor you're working on. I was like, sexy monitor? So yeah, I guess apparently this monitor is sexy. So if you guys want a sexy monitor that it's all black and has a nice stand, this monitor is apparently Lizzie mom approved. Also, on a side note, I just got a little heads up. There's actually a huge discount going on from November 18th to December 22nd. So the monitor is actually on sale for $879.99 now, so go check it out. And also, if you guys are wondering, I'm sure this question is gonna come up, but it actually has HDMI ports, both the big and small ports, and takes USB Type-C 3.1. So if you use a MacBook Pro like I do, you just connect it in and it instantly works. So yes, it's great. All right, back to what we were working on before this. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Even with this being a sponsored video from ViewSonic, I still would pick up this monitor. It's been a huge part of my workflow recently. I legitimately use it every single day. And as a professional content creator and having a color accurate monitor and something with this much space to work on, it's been a big part of my workflows. And on that note, if you guys saw any value in this video, please press like. As you know, it actually makes a difference. Subscribe, would love for you to join along. We're gonna be talking about camera photography tutorials as well as photography business. So if you guys are interested in that, much more coming soon. So make sure you hit the bell to be notified for future videos. I guess I'm gonna see you guys in the next videos. Peace out, everybody. Love you. Be safe. Woo! I didn't mean to do this because I joked about not doing it and then I did it and now we're here. You guys can select one of these videos if you want. It's a cool video. Or you can do whatever you want. I'm just gonna wait here. I'm gonna keep fixing all the little hairs that are on my body. Should I link this in the bio? I can link this in the bio. Peace.